On behalf of Reverend Deb Moore, I am Ryan Gill. This is Jackson, this is Candy, and welcome to Unity of Music City. We're going to stand up and sing 2 songs back to back. We're going to get our energy up and get it focused on having a great service today. We're going to start off with Releasing, and then we're going to turn it over. There was a time in my life, thought I'd have to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. Now I can say, if you're discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. Let it all go. This is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. In my faith I see the light. I am free. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free. All that is on your mind today, take it to God in prayer. When you have fears that won't go away, take it to God in prayer. Turn it over, take it to God in prayer. Turn it over, God is always there. If you feel sad, lost and alone, take it to God in prayer. Go to the one that you can count on. Take it to God in prayer. Take it to God in prayer. Turn much. You sound beautiful. Please be seated. All right, if there's any kids who would like to go to Miss Steph, you are dismissed. Bye, guys.
Good morning, Unity of Music City. Let's begin this portion of our service by taking a deep, centering breath. Today's centering statement is, in the silence, I can see the big picture. Could you know happiness without sadness? Is there love without pain? Dark without light? Could we understand masculine without feminine? Is it true that everything has two sides, good and evil, love and hate, attraction and disconnection? Think of the North and the South poles on a globe or a battery with its negative and positive terminals. Everything in the universe has an opposite. Everything is dual, and this is what allows us to experience life to the fullest and appreciate the good in the world. It is the very existence of these opposites that allows us to understand our life. Following this truth, if you're happy, you have the potential to be sad. But if you're sad, you have the potential to be happy. The law of polarity gives us both extremes, but it is our thoughts and our mindset that determine which extreme we welcome into our worlds. By regularly reminding yourself of this, you can improve your resilience in troubled times. For every problem, there's a solution. For every obstacle, there's an opportunity. This is knowing that gives birth to new desires when manifesting. Every time you experience something you don't want, the law of polarity points out the thing you do want exists and is just waiting to be manifested into your life. When we take time in the silence to reflect on our world, we can see what is working and what is not, and take the steps to remove our energy from the thoughts, situations, and relationships that are no longer serving us. When we do this, we steer our lives to the right and perfect path and open the potential to manifest everything our hearts desire. And now please repeat these affirming statements after me. I remove energy from the thoughts, situations, and relationships that don't serve me. I remove my energy from the thoughts, situations, and relationships that don't serve me. I focus on the good in my life, and everything else falls away. I focus on the good in my life, and everything else falls away. I hold the key to my own happiness. I hold the key to my own happiness. And so it is.
Let that settle in for just a second. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. Beautiful summer It's like summer's just kind of hanging on out there, isn't it? And that's quite all right because the alternative is winter, and it's not my favorite of the seasons. So welcome to Unity of Music City, and I want to thank you for being here with us today, because out of all the places that you could be right now, you have made the sole choice to bring your energy to play with ours. And we love you for that, and we thank you for being here. I think we have a ton of announcements, so Julie, would you like to come up and enlighten us?
My fan, ready for the week.
Is that a Chewbacca fan?
It's a Chewbacca fan.
I'm a fan of Chewbacca's too.
It's a Chewbacca fan. Check. Reverend Deb, you can borrow this in your message if you need it. It's not the spray kind, it's just the fan. Oh, two things. Turning it over, trying to run this week, starting for a 5K. That's all I'm doing right now for a while. And I'm thinking, Reverend Deb, I felt all the chakras, and I don't know if they were thanking me or shouting obscenities to me, but my body, obliques were, everything was, I was feeling it. So I think it was a thank you, though, like finally. So cyclist, but not a runner. So it was a wake-up call for the body. So anyways, I've got a lot of things. Let's find my page here. There we go. And I was coached by my little girl, Sashi. I have a slide this time. So yeah. And I have Nima and Sashi, two Shih Tzus, and she is not the best coach. But she does teach me in relaxation techniques. So balance is what it's all about, right? So that is pretty much her pose most of the time. The other one swims. So anyway, happy Sunday, happy August the 20th. All activities we have or meeting links and phone numbers can be found on the website, weekly happenings, Google Calendar. You can always email the church. Crochet group for Centennial NICU babies. Contact Tammy C. for future dates and time, and her info is on the website. Tammy's right here, third row. Thank you. We're painting the large room here at Wren Road tomorrow and Tuesday at 6 p.m. Volunteers needed, all ages, no experience needed. Tools provided. So please see Deb Champion for more information or to volunteer. And Deb is...
There she is.
Right there. That's all I'm saying, right there. We got two on the same side here. Discussion on building and presenter agreements, Saturday, August 26th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We invite all those involved in that planning or supporting these types of events to join us for education and feedback. Adult Happy Class, Monday, August the 28th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., connecting body, mind, and spirit through mindfulness and self-love practices. $20 suggested donation. Full Moon Gathering coming up Wednesday, October the 30th at 7 p.m. Join us. October? Oh my goodness. I'm thinking coolness already. At least I didn't say university this time. I said unity. All right, it's all good. So August the 30th, there will be one in October as well. That's later. All right, so Wednesday, October the 30th at 7 p.m. Just seeing if you guys are, is my face a little red? All right. So I thought I was sharp this Sunday. All right, so Wednesday, August 30th at 7 p.m. Join us around the fire at Wren Road. Whew. Birthday celebration and potluck Sunday, September the 10th. Following the service, bring a dish to share. Please see Susan Hurt for more information. And Susan right here. Yeah, in the front. I love it. All right, and The Story of Me, Saturday, September the 16th from 2 to 4 p.m. The Story of Me is a fun and artistic view of learning about your church community. Have you ever wondered what your higher self looks like? Can you picture it? How about sharing with others what you think it looks like? The Story of Me is a way to learn about each other through the lens of spiritual art. Come with a curious and creative heart so we can learn from each other. How do we end up in unity? What topics and paths inspire you most? What is your story, and how do you want it to unfold? Presented by the Healing Arts. Wingblade Falconry Immersive Experience, Sunday, September the 17th at 5 p.m. Join us for I'm assuming 5 p.m., not 5 a.m., right? And join us for a 2.5-hour close-up and personal encounter with falcons, hawks, and owls. This includes a presentation by Holly Lamar, owner of Wingblade, about the spiritual and practical history, uses, and symbolism of these magnificent raptors. Group size is limited, so sign up soon. And pay any time between now and the day of. Be sure to mark your pay Falcons. I guess that's on the website. And that is loaded announcements for us today. Thank you.
Everybody give Julie some love right now. We appreciate Julie so much because she brings all of her Eunice to this announcement. All right, we got a really special spot in our service today, and I want to turn it over to Amy from our sacred candle. What is it called? Keepers of the Sacred Flame.
Good morning again. As we know, Deb has done an amazing job as a speaker. She filled in many times when we didn't officially have a speaker. A lot of you are already familiar with our history. When Reverend Denise Jurgen retired late 2019, early 2020, Deb was one of our rotating speakers. We did speakers on a rotation. We had Deb. We had, of course, Vic, Sorrel, Deb, what was her name? No, not Deb Champion, but Deb Bishop. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Sean O'Shea, several on a rotating, but Deb kept resonating for us. And then, of course, as most everybody knows, Deb has been our current speaker for a little over a year. But we finally did a vote, and I know everybody hopefully is aware by now that we have hired her as our official senior minister. So she is permanent. Hopefully she's not going anywhere. She loves us very much. And so I wanted to make that an official announcement on behalf of the Sacred Keepers and the Executive Council, how excited on the dotted line. I don't know which is a bigger commitment, making that commitment or getting married or buying a house. It's
very similar, I would think, right?
Thank you. Yes. So you're stuck with us, Deb. We love you. And I would like to call Deb to the front because we have a few tokens that we would like to bestow upon her to show her from the Keepers, from the Executive Council, just how much she means to us in this congregation. So I'll start with me. So may you be blessed, may you be light, may you always bring the peace and comfort that you bring to all of us. Thank you, Deb. Thank you for your gifts.
So, Rev Deb. Yes. You have been such a grace to so many of us in this last year and even long before that. You give us so much of yourself and of your heart. A few weeks ago, you made a little comment in the midst of a sermon, and there were a couple of us that actually thought it, and we took a little time and a lot of effort. This, I believe, you will recognize when you open it.
Okay. What did I say?
I'm not telling.
It's the glass boxes. Beside each other. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Pure crystal
Thank you.
inside.
That's fantastic.
As president of Unity of Music City, I'm presenting you with a stole that represents all faiths. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Sorry, Tom.
As the treasurer, I present you with a candle, which represents the keepers and the unity of all people.
I go through them so quickly.
Thank you all very much. I'll say what I have to say later on. How about that? Thank you. Oh, yes, okay. Good photo.
Thank you.
Let's stand up and give Reverend Deb some love. Boy, am I good. Don't sit, because we're going to stand and sing. I gotcha. All right, it's time for the monthly mantra. Love only knows. We have been learning this over the past couple of weeks, so I think we got it down, so I expect to hear you sing out. Here we go. Love knows no distance, love knows no race, love knows no country, love knows no faith, love plays no favorites, love doesn't care who or why or what or where. Love only knows that love is real, making no distinctions. Love feels, love goes beyond nature or need. How can this be? Love only knows. Love only knows. Love knows no titles. Love knows no names. Love knows no history, no pride or shame. Love keeps no secrets, builds no walls. And I believe there's love in us all. Love only knows that love is real, making no distinctions. Love feels, love goes beyond nature and need. How can this be? Love only knows. Love only knows. Love only knows. Love only knows. Willingly. Love only knows. Faithfully. Endlessly. Love only knows. Perfectly. Oh, perfectly. And love only knows that love is real, making no distinctions. Love feels, love goes beyond nature and need. How can this be? Love only knows. 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 Please be seated. Thank you.
Goodness gracious already. What a day. I got to tell you, even though the real self of us is this divine essence that has no need, has no want, that felt good. And that physical human being that we are, who moves through this life, who evolves spiritually, appreciates so much being appreciated. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I invite you in this meditative space to settle in and close your eyes. Let yourself feel completely supported by the chair. Relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw. Let the sound of children be a beautiful background that reminds you of the beauty of life. Right at the point where your body meets the chair, envision a spinning disc of red life energy. And as you breathe in through your nose, feel the air going down into your lungs, and then going all the way down through your belly and going into that disc and swirling around with the rotation. And when you're ready to exhale, that air releases out of that disc and comes up through your entire body, through your lungs, and out your nose or your mouth. If it's a little hard at first to envision that, if it feels like something is blocking that vision, just stay with it. Take a deep breath in, bringing it all the way down, spinning around. And then let it come out. This is the seat of your existence, the root of your existence. I invite you to just sit in the silence for a moment, breathing into the root chakra and letting everything from that space be cleaned and cleansed, and whatever is toxic or unneeded is released. Let's do that for a moment in the silence. In the silence. Thank you, Gaia. Mother Earth. God has many, many names. Jehovah, Allah, Krishna, Shiva, Jesus. For this root of existence, we especially bring to mind the Earth Mother. This amazing planet that supports everything we need for life. That is the mother of us all. And we say thank you. Thank you for our life. Thank you for helping us to remember that we deserve to be here. And so it is.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Always there for you. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Peace I leave with you. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Always there for you. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Peace I leave with you.
Good morning, everybody. I got to tell you, I was riding in here this morning. I was getting dressed this morning, thinking to myself, I don't own a single red thing. That's summery. It's all wintry. I didn't own anything red to wear. I wanted to wear red today as we started our journey through the chakras, starting with the root chakra. And I didn't have anything. And then Amy put this around my neck. And I feel a little bit like a statue of Ganesha right now. on a holy day. But that's all right, because it's all good. But now I have red, and today we're going to be talking about the root chakra. First, last week we did our overview. We went through the whole thing to give us a sense of where we're going here. We talked about the upward flow and the downward flow, because we're talking about transformation and manifestation through the chakras. And the way we can use this tool as a guide, as a framework through which we can understand our own rise to liberation and freedom, our own move through evolution, spiritual understanding. And we can also turn that flow around and bring our intentions and our thoughts and our higher mind ideas into physical reality. We begin to manifest really powerful things in our life. So that's what we're going to be looking at for the next 7 weeks. And today we start with the Muladhara, or root chakra. I'm going to be giving you a lot of information on this, and then we'll be talking about what we can do to work with this. Or I could just tell you this: start every day with a Wonder Woman pose. Because that is root chakra stuff right there. Have you ever done that before? Done the Wonder Woman pose before you go out the door? It really makes a difference. It's about being rooted in your own strength and purpose and your own existence. So Muladhara means two things, actually two Sanskrit words kind of mashed together. Mula and Adhara. They share the A right there after the L. Mula and Adhara. Mula means root. Great, we know that. It's the root chakra. Adhara means base or support. And it's kind of tempting to think of those two things as the same thing. But I think it's interesting to think about the slight shade of difference between those two words. Because a root connects us to the earth, takes us down into the ground, and also provides nourishment. Whereas a base or a support is a foundation. It is a solid piece on which to stand, on which to build. And those two concepts together really wrap all of this up. I'm going to give you an overview. Some of this I'm just going to slide through a couple of slides here fairly quickly, but I want to give you a little bit of overview, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of this. So the Muladhara overview, the color is red, if you didn't know already. The element is earth, being grounded in the earth. The location is at the base of the spine, or basically where your fanny is meeting the seat right now. Its identity is physical. So think about the physical reality we live in. One of the beautiful things about the framework of the chakras is that for those of us who become very, very, like blissed out spiritual people all the time, this gets us back into our body, brings us back into our body a little bit. And the orientation is self-preservation. If the root chakra had a theme song, it's Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive. Right? Remember that? I was going to see if Ryan could whip that up really quickly this morning, but we'll just move on. We could probably say, yeah, as long as I got... Now, here's the thing. All of these, I'm using, of course, as I mentioned last week, Anodea Judith's fantastic work, Eastern Body, Western Mind, as a kind of a guide for this, among other things that we'll talk about. She talks about how every one of these chakras has a demon. Basically, this is the threat to the chakra. Right? This is what can come along and create a problem, can block the chakra, right? And for the root chakra, the demon is, I missed that. Unity 12 Powers Life. I just wanted to point out that life is also red at the bottom there. It's a good thing I didn't have in my notes because it's not that important. Here's the demon. Fear is the demon. Fear is the demon. Fear is interesting, isn't it? I mean, if you're feeling fear, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters in that moment. And if someone else is feeling fear, we have a tendency to want to say, there's no need to be afraid. Guess what? They're not choosing it. We don't choose fear. Kind of reminds me of a friend of mine years ago used to always say, hey, everybody at any given moment is doing the best they know how to do. Nobody in any given moment, I believe, is choosing fear. You might be living with it, experiencing it, it's coming out of nowhere, but you're dealing with it, right? Somehow, survival feels threatened, and then we feel afraid. And this fear makes our heart race, and it gets our adrenaline pumping. It makes us very present. It's one of the gifts of fear, quite frankly, is that it forces us into the present moment to deal with whatever we have to deal with. There's a quote from Anadea Judith's book. I've got it written here so I didn't have to look it up. She says, fear brings our attention into the here and now to address the threat, but focuses that attention outward and upward to the chakras of perception and mental activity. In other words, it's on the defense, right? Putting that energy out. We become hypervigilant, restless, anxious. We can't settle, relax, or let down. It's as if we are jumping right out of our skin. When I first read that a couple weeks ago, it hit me right between the eyes. Because I remember a few years back when I was really in the height of menopause. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Really in the height of menopause, I remember talking to Reverend Denise, our former minister, several times and saying, Denise, I don't know how to say this, but it feels like I'm jumping out of my skin. And she said, yep, welcome to my world. That's pretty much what she said. Anadea Judith goes on to say, fear engages our survival instincts by getting us ready to respond, but if it becomes constant, we lose our ability to respond appropriately. If we grew up in an environment of fear, and some of us did, it becomes our baseline. If we feel a constant sense of threat coming from somewhere, it becomes our baseline, and our sense of safety then comes from this hypervigilance. And this hypervigilance keeps us in a state of constant stress and anxiety, right? We may not even realize that's what we're doing. We may just say, I'm just having trouble sleeping lately. I don't know why. But the truth is, you're hypervigilant on some level of your being. Anybody else here tend to stay awake at night when you've got a problem to solve? Is it just me? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, and then you're like, even if you say to yourself, I can solve this problem tomorrow. It's not even that important of a problem. Nope, you're going to just chew on that all night long. And that's because somewhere on some level, that problem may not be a threat to your physical survival, but it's a threat to the survival of your healthy balance. It's a problem that needs to be solved. And so we stay awake. This is first chakra stuff. We have to overcome the demon of fear. Have you ever seen this quote? Everything you've ever wanted is sitting on the other side of fear. Have you ever seen that? That quote pisses me off. It always has. And here's why, I think. Because I'm an Aries, and the only way I see of doing anything is to ram through the wall, right? What that quote says to me is that what I have to do is face my fear and move through it. And sometimes I don't want to, right? I don't want to. In therapy in my 20s, when I was talking about this very thing, my fear of deep water, and I said to my therapist, well, I made myself do it. I said, you got to face your fear. And she said, well, why do you have to do that? She said, did you have to go in the water? Was someone dying? You do have the option to say, I choose not to. It was one of the most freeing moments of my life to hear her say that. I get to say I choose not to. But that doesn't mean just because I may not have to face it and look it right in the eye, I may have to. Sometimes I have to. Sometimes I have to push through it. But the point is, I have to overcome it. Whichever route has to be taken. Straight through, looking it in the eye, or putting it in perspective. Because most of my fears, I have found that when I deal honestly with them, they're just like the Wizard of Oz, right? This big scary thing that's really just a short, bald man behind a curtain. And if I pull the curtain back, I see that it's not that big of a deal. Here's the problem with fear. You cannot think your way out of it. This is a battle that's fought in the body, right? You can have all the logic you want to. You can understand all you want. Not going to help. It may help you to understand, but it doesn't do the overcoming of the fear. Fear can also be helpful, by the way. Anadea Judith also calls it a sacred adversary. We need fear. Human evolution has needed fear to know, you know what, we're not going to go up and pet the saber-toothed tiger, right? We're going to choose instead to see the threat there. We're going to make a different choice. Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, he described fear and faith as being similar energies. That fear is a belief that something awful might happen, and faith is a belief that something good might happen. Right? So when we feel fear, we have this incredible opportunity to practice faith. So what is this fear threatening? What are the basic rights? What is the basic right of the root chakra? It's the right to be here and the right to have. To be here and to have what I need for my existence. I have the right to that. I have the right to exist on this planet. And for a lot of folks, that seems like a very basic thing, but for a lot of folks, that's big. To really wrap your head around, I have the right to exist on this planet. I have the right to take up this space. And I have the right to the material comfort I need in order to do that in a healthy way. I have the right to food. I know that doesn't feel like it that way when you go to the grocery store and you have to pay for the food. There are a lot of cities around, especially in Europe and some of North America, where they're starting to plant fruit trees and vegetables in public spaces that are free for anybody to take. What a concept that we just get to go eat of the fruit of the earth whenever we need it. Right? They're called edible cities. What are the first chakra issues that we might deal with? Well, some of the first chakra issues might be the body, anything to do with the body, the physical self, right? Survival is a first chakra issue. Grounding, being grounded, being stable, being steady. Nourishment, anything to do with the physical body. So nourishment is an issue around the first chakra. And health. Right? But there's also another issue in the first chakra, and that is prosperity. Because this is the manifested chakra. This is the material chakra. If we were following the downward flow in our study, we'd start at the crown chakra, we'd come all the way down with our ideas, we would speak them into existence, we would feel them, and then we would see them being made manifest in front of us. So we're going about it the opposite way, but this is all about manifestation, physical manifestation. So what are some of the challenges? I'm getting through this one. I think this is my last listy one, so just here you go, my last listy one. Some of the challenges to the Muladhara. This can cause blockages, things like birth trauma. I was born in 11 minutes from the time my mother walked through the doors of the hospital unaided while my father parked the car till the moment they put me in her arms was 11 minutes. And I came out with covered in meconium stain. Is that what it's called? Baby poop. That's what it is. It's baby poop. And someone told me one time who does, birth-related kind of body work, she said, "Ooh, you didn't want to come, did you? You wanted to stay right where you were." So I wonder sometimes, we didn't bring this on ourselves, we experienced it. How many in the process of being born into this earth have a first experience that might have some trauma around it? Here's a biggie, abandonment. I don't know that I've ever talked to anybody who doesn't have some kind of abandonment issue, right? When I was 14 years old, my parents got divorced. My father moved away to Tennessee. We lived in Michigan to recoup and regroup and lick his wounds and do whatever he needed to do. A choice any one of us might have made. Not a blame on him. I still dealt with the abandonment. My father went far, far away. We have those issues that cause a problem with this root chakra. Neglect. We can be neglected in a lot of different ways. We can be neglected in terms of having a parent who doesn't feed us or provide for us in a proper way. Or maybe you say, my partner doesn't listen to me, right? Sometimes that may not be true, but we can still feel a sense of neglect. I need some attention right now. Physical abuse is one of the biggies. I can't remember the guy's name, there's a psychologist that she quotes in here that says that is the most binding experience. That physical trauma binds us to the situation, the person, the event. Accidents or surgeries or illnesses, anything that is kind of intruding into our body, right? And then finally here, poor boundaries. Actually, there's one more after this. Poor boundaries. This is the one that's going to maybe surprise you just a little bit. Well, maybe it won't. Upper chakra dominance. That happens a lot with us, spiritual types. We've become so elevated. I'm living up here all the time. I'm just living in bliss all the time. And I'm not even noticing the fact that my first chakra is just like all over the place. And so these chakras can have excessive energy or deficient energy. And the excessive first chakra draws so much energy that it can't move the energy down to ground or up with the rest of the body. And it creates a kind of solidity that has a difficulty embracing change. And a deficient first chakra can be so contracted that it creates chaotic movement with little consistency. This is kind of some of the symptoms of that, if you will. An excessive energy in the Muladhara root chakra would lead to things like heaviness or sluggishness, resistance to change, obesity, hoarding, greediness, workaholic, excessive spending. Look at all the excess there, right? I'm hoarding all of this energy, where the deficient characteristics can be fear, anxiety, resistance to structure, anorexia, flightiness, disconnection from the body. So if you're thinking to yourself, wow, we just spent 4 weeks talking about spiritual freedom and talking about how I am the divine essence, who I really am is this divine essence, right? I'm not my physical body. I'm not my mental experience. I'm not my cycle stuff. Well, because we're human and we're also in good company. Jesus napped regularly. He got frustrated with religious systems. He experienced hunger that turned into anger. That never happens for me. I've conquered that. Occasionally ignored his family's advice and happily ran away when people wanted to control him. His humanity was part of his godliness, and so is yours. Remember, there isn't a hierarchy in this work. You don't elevate and evolve to the point where I never have to deal with root chakra issues anymore. Until you pass on to the great beyond, you're going to deal with all of these issues. You're just going to get better at them. So I want to tell you a quick story. I was not sure I was going to tell you this story, but I'm going to go ahead. I've decided to go ahead and step into vulnerability. That's root chakra issue stuff too. So about, I don't know, maybe a month ago, I don't know how long ago it was, I was sent to get an MRI. There was a follow-up imaging to a mammogram. Now, as far as I know, nothing's wrong, so this is not going to be a big story where I'm going to tell you about something I'm going through. I have what many, many women have, something called dense tissue. And so a lot of times on a mammogram, it's not what they see, it's what they can't see that causes concern. And they say, we need to be able to see better, right? So my doctor decided, I've had this happen before. They had sent me for an ultrasound before. And I'm not worried about, I'm like, okay, yeah, here we go. Well, my doctor decides he wants to send me for an MRI. I don't think too much about it. They called to schedule the MRI, and the woman said, by the way, are you claustrophobic? And I said, yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I've noticed over the past 4 or 5 years that this has increased significantly. Quite specifically, there is a place we go to when I take students to India. There's a place we go into where we get to go see a 16th century toilet. But in order to do this at this fort where we're visiting, you have to go down a little hallway that is literally it's right here. The walls are right here, the roof is right here. And because it's a tourist site, once you get into that hallway, that's about 30 feet long. I know, breathe. You got people in front of you, you got people behind you, right? This is a place, by the way, you'd never be allowed to visit in the United States because they would see problematic right there. So the very first year we went, I did this. I could feel it. I'm like, okay, but I did it. I saw it. I came back out. I noticed this last trip in March that I got about 2 people in. There were 2 students behind me, and I turned around and I went, out, 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 out. And they knew, right? Okay, we're going out. And I already had the vision. It wasn't even that in that moment I was afraid. It was I had the vision of getting farther in, and there would be no turning back. So I told this woman, I said, yes, I have claustrophobia. And she said, no problem. We'll give you a Valium. Now, I have had a Valium, right? And then I saw Jesus. No. So she said, we'll give you and I've had a Valium on a couple of different occasions. For some big dental work, I've had Valium, and the first time I flew to Hawaii, when I told my doctor, I don't know about being over the water for 8 hours. And he said, just take this, you'll be fine. And I was, because Valium is wonderful, right? And so I said, great, you're going to give me a Valium. But I don't take it so often. I mean, like 2 times in my life I've taken it. So I don't take it often enough to remember exactly how it operates in my body, right? And so I get there, and I walk up to the desk to check in. And I remember I said, I'm here for my MRI. Do you have my Valium? Right? I'm going to be needing my Valium now. And she said, they'll give it to you when you go back there. I said, okay, all right. So I go back there. They finally call my name. They take me back in there. They sit me down. They get me changed, put me in a little gown. They sit me down in a very gray, dark hallway. Medical facilities could take a lesson from spas. Let me just tell you that right now. And she comes by and she goes, here's your Valium. I want to watch you take it. I got to watch you take it. I said, okay. I take my Valium. About 15 minutes later, she calls me back to do the MRI. Now, if you've ever had a Valium, it takes longer than that. It takes like 45 minutes for a Valium to be good and set into your system. So I went back there, and I'm as sober as a judge. And she takes me back into this room with a machine that is a big, big, huge, round machine that has a hole in it that's about that big, that your body is supposed to slide through, all right? And she tells me, because it's a breast MRI, that I have to lay face down. And I have to put my arms up ahead of me with my arms right next to my head, and then they have to put these big, huge headphones on because it's going to get loud. And I tried for a moment to say, it's like you're laying on a massage table, Deb. You're just laying down for a massage. But you know what? It's fear, and it doesn't listen to your mind. Fear doesn't listen to your mind. And I laid down on that MRI table, and then I immediately put my head up, and she said, you okay? I said, no, I'm not. I said, give me a minute. It took me about 8 seconds to realize that I was not going to move beyond this in this environment. I was going to have to get out of this room. And I said, I'm sorry, but this is not happening. She said, okay. I'm sure she's probably used to it. Of course, because of who I am, I'm always worried about disappointing people. I am a bit of a people pleaser. And so my first thought is, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I have messed up your schedule. And she is just like not worried about it at all. I go out to the front to get my refund, and I'm feeling sorry. Like Premier Radiology is going to fold if they don't get my $650, right? I'm so sorry. Nikki, you have to have a driver. If you get a Valium, you have to have a driver. Nikki finally sees me. She walks over. She goes, well, that was fast. I said, I couldn't do it. And I knew if I said any more at that moment, I was going to just lose it. Because it's all over you then. For about a week, by the way, halfway home, that Valium kicked in. And I was like, I think I could do it now. But I'm not going back to try. Oh, my Lord, let me tell you, for about a week, even telling the story made me cry again. It put me there in that fear. I thought, where is this coming from? I don't understand. It messes with your sense of identity That was the biggie for me, because Deb's always been the person that even if something is scary, I can push through. I can make myself do it. And you know what? That wasn't happening. Who is this person now? I thought, okay, well, the work that this did for me was that it caused me to change primary care physicians, which I've been threatening to do for about a year and a half, because my first primary care physician kept saying, you're going to get an MRI. And I went and found one who said, I don't think that's necessary. I said, me either. Thank you very much. I thought that was it. I thought, you know what? I've got a little claustrophobia issue. I've got a little maybe anxiety issue here. I'm going to go deal with this. But first, let's get this ultrasound done. We'll deal with this later. Last Friday, I'm at Deborah Robbins' office, periodontist, right over here, 2 blocks away, getting ready to get a bone graft done. I've had this done before. It's not a problem. They put the shots in. There's no pain. I feel nothing, but I usually get a Valium for it. But Nikki was out of town, and I didn't have a driver. And I was going to call Julie, but I thought she's too busy selling shoes. I can't, right? And so I thought, you know what, I can do this. I can do this because this is no big deal. I just lay back. They're going to give me some shots. I've done this before, piece of cake. I can do this without Valium. So we get there, and she said, well, should we give you some nitrous oxide? I said, sure, I'll take anything you give me. And she laid me back in that chair. And I don't know if you've ever had that feeling where it feels like your head's about 2 feet lower than your feet in a dentist chair. And I had that moment where I felt it again. And I opened my eyes. And all I could see were hands and faces right here above me. And I sat up and I said, this is not happening. I just knew instantly, this is not happening. I have a little birthmark right here in the back of my hairline. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I have a little birthmark back there. And when I sat up, I have a tendency to downplay this stuff and say, what's your problem? This is not that big a deal. Get over it. When I sat up, the dental assistant said, oh my God, your birthmark is bright red right now. Bright red. Root chakra. This is root chakra stuff. This is threat stuff. And my periodontist looked at me and she said, you need to call your primary care physician and you need to address the anxiety. And she put a name on it. A name that has probably been around here for a long, 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 long time. But not Deb. No, Deb can handle it. Deb's an Aries. She rams through things. She makes things happen. How can this possibly be Deb? And part of me felt like, in the process of all of this, that there was this little nesting doll named anxiety that had lived in my body for years and years and years, that had finally, there's a part of it that was beautiful. She finally found her voice. And she finally said, nope, we're not doing that. And now that she's out in the light of day, we're going to be working with that. We're going to be dealing with that. It taught me the importance of support groups. I think Julie slipped right over the recovery announcement. Not your fault, Julie. It's fine. I don't know what I did with that. It's back there. But we do have a recovery group that meets here on Wednesdays. Spirituality and recovery. That's root chakra stuff. Let me tell you, when you're dealing with recovery issues, anxiety, whatever, there's a reason why drug and alcohol abuse counselors are usually recovering people. Because the healing is in somebody sitting down and sharing their story with you as well. Some of the most healing I experienced in this process was listening to people tell me about their own struggles with anxiety. Hearing stories of other people. Not that I wanted other people to have anxiety, but oh my gosh, when I heard other people's stories, I'm like, okay, this is a human experience that I'm having. First chakra stuff. Signs of high-functioning anxiety. I found this week. Got out my handy pen, did a little checklist. People-pleasing due to fear of driving people away. Check. I'm so sorry, Premier Radiology. Can you ever forgive me? Procrastinating followed by long periods of hard work to the point of a burnout. Check. Overthinking and overworking due to fear of failure. How many check marks are we allowed to put after one? Disturbed sleep patterns. Check. Unable to relax due to racing thoughts. Now, let me just say something. Because us spiritual people, we're good meditators. Sometimes we don't necessarily check this one, but also this can be what is hiding what we need to deal with. When we become very good at relaxing ourselves, then maybe we are good at kind of masking something that we should be dealing with, should be letting come up and deal with. Overly busy due to fear of saying no, check, 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 check. Self-sabotaging coping methods, excessive alcohol or drug use, overeating, withdrawing. No, I eat like crap. That might possibly be part of it, but I don't necessarily check that one. But I'm going to say that 6 out of 7 is a pretty good indicator. Perhaps you recognize yourself here. The world we live in is increasingly anxiety-producing. We live in a world that is busy, busy, busy. We stare at screens all day long. We're getting constant news and messages and information. Everything that keeps us out of being grounded. So let me make a few suggestions. These are not the be-all and end-all. If this was something that you recognize in yourself, then talk to someone who's a lot smarter than I am. That's the first piece of advice that I would give you. Something that I'm going to do, certainly. So here's the first piece of advice I want to give you. Kate Martin, sitting right back there, has a fantastic podcast with her friend Sarah Jane Chapman called Be With Your Body. This is all root chakra stuff. And Kate does this work. She's one of those people smarter than I am that you might go talk to if there was something that you needed to work through in regards to these kinds of fears and anxieties that we might have. Wherever you get your podcast, look that one up. I think they've got 2 seasons out. Is that correct? It's really, really good stuff. And that can be a place where you can begin to learn and kind of embody once again, get back into your body and deal with these. Another piece of advice would be what I get from Thich Nhat Hanh, the Zen Buddhist monk. Walk as if your feet are kissing the earth. I'm not a big barefoot kind of person. I'm just not. I know that's like, it's like admitting that, you sin in unity because we're so nature. Yeah. But I'm not a big barefoot kind of person. I'm one of those people who walking across a gravel driveway barefooted is torture to me. It's just torture. But every now and then I have to remind myself, when have your feet touched the earth lately? Just walk outside, Deb. Just walk outside and let your feet touch the earth. And even when I have shoes on, I'm at school, I'm walking around, when I can remember, walk as if your feet are kissing the earth. It slows everything down. It changes my entire energy in that moment. And it reminds me that I live on this earth, right? And it immediately grounds me. Being in nature, period. A walk in nature, anything that you can do. This is one I think is important. By the way, this is any kind of body thing is a way to deal with first chakra issues. I noticed during the announcements how many things were first chakra oriented. You want to work on first chakra? Come and help Tammy do crochet, right? First chakra, get your body going. Come help Deborah Champion paint, right? All these things. Come to the full moon gathering when we are out in there feeling the ground under our feet. So many different opportunities for working with this. But here's one, I'm gonna go for it. Clean, clear spaces, right? Our outward clutter can often be a sign of inward clutter. And this picture, a lot of times we equate clutter with warmth. Oh, it looks lived in, it's a nice place, whatever. And sometimes we equate very clean and neat with a little bit more sterile, a little bit more cold. But I like this picture because to me that's a very warm space. Probably because of the fire, but it feels like a warm space, but it's so neat. It's a space that I could go into and sit and read and be I don't have to think about all the business outside around me, right? Move furniture around, anything physical. Go home and rearrange your living room. If this first chakra stuff, it makes you do a deep cleaning in your space. It makes you feel connected again to it. Go analog. I almost said go old school. I keep my family budget on a spreadsheet. And it's really handy. It's nice to digitally open it up. It's there. I take care of everything. But every now and then, when I really want to get connected again to finances, I put out a piece of paper. Let me get a pen and a piece of paper and handwrite this. Let me get connected once again. Let me journal. Let me feel the paper, right? Anything that gets me off of a screen. I've been doing more and more of that lately, I've got to tell you, even though, I became a TikTok star like 2 years ago, and that went to my head. Not really. I'm not at all a star compared to a lot of people who have millions and millions of followers, but I got a lot of following. And I'll tell you what came on the heels of that. Pressure. You got to keep putting stuff out there. You got to keep feeding the beast. And it's been about over the last year, slowly, more and more, I'm just like, I'm not feeding that beast. It's not bringing me peace. It's not bringing me joy. So I'm not going to feed that beast. Reverend Denise, our former minister, posted this week. I thought it was perfect. You got to resurrect the deep pain within you and give it a place to live that's not within your body. Let it live in art. Let it live in writing. Let it live in music. Let it be devoured by building brighter connections. Your body is not a coffin for pain to be buried in. Put it somewhere else. Ehimora, by the way, is a Nigerian writer and a priestess of the Ifa and Orisa tradition, just so you know where that came from. There's a song that I want to share the lyrics to close out today that really speaks to me in this regard. Most of you know that Nikki sings with a woman named Kashana. And they're out on the road all the times when you come up to me and say, "Where's Nikki?" And I go, "She's in Boston. She's in Portland. She's in Alaska. She's in Scotland. She's usually with Kashana. By the way, they're going to be singing at Musicians Corner in Centennial Park on September 15th, but I'll tell you more about that later. Kashana has a song that she wrote called Fear. It's an amazing song. One of the interesting pieces about this song is that she never mentions the word fear in the song. That word is not in the lyric, right? But I want you to listen to this. I can't move. I can't sleep. Holding me down, now I can't breathe. Pain in my chest, doubting my thoughts. In and out of luck and lost in the dark. Don't call it crazy. Isn't that what we do? That's what I did over the last month. Am I losing my mind? Right? Don't call it crazy. Don't call it insane. Don't call it being cautious when you know the way. Don't call it being foolish when you know the game. You better call it by its name. You better call it by its name. That's looking it in the face. That's overcoming fear. The second verse, she speaks to fear directly. Listen to this. You call me out, come in my house. Pressure's brewing and filling me with doubts. Think you got me on my knees? No, you don't. Think you'll take this all away? No, you won't. No, you won't. Right? I sent a little text to Kashana yesterday, and I said, I'm working on my talk for Sunday, and it's first chakra stuff. She knows about the MRI stuff I've been going through. I said, I'm going to tell that story, and I said, all of a sudden, the lyrics to Fear came to my mind, and I'm going to share them, and I went and looked them up, and I said, I got to tell you, Kashana, you just ministered to me. That when you do deep listening to other people telling their story, we get healed. That's how we get healed. She texted me back and she said, Deb, Lord, this. That's what she does when she's really moved by something. Don't feel like you failed if you hear the voice within you saying, fear not, I am with you, and the fear doesn't go away right away. It's helpful to imagine the God of your understanding standing behind you and whispering in your ear, fear not, I am with you. But you might have to do some work in this regard. You may not be able to wave a magic wand on some of this. So your fear can become faith. Your support is solid. You are safe. You belong here. You're not a victim. You're a beloved child of God. You're as human as Jesus and as divine as the Christ. Kiss the earth with your feet this week. Clear the spaces in your environment. Feel paper under your fingertips as you write your story. Your physical existence is the earthly home of your spiritual experience. Protect that space. Breathe into your root chakra this week and feel yourself fully supported by the ground beneath you, because that's what I'm going to be doing. Namaste.
Gratitude is the antidote. Definitely a way to start your day and kind of move through the fear or anxiety. There's been many times in my life where I have been in the middle of all of that and sat down and just did a barrage of gratitude. And you know what? I get lifted up. Sometimes you don't have a support system that you can call or go to, and an easy way to get around that is just reminding yourself of what you're grateful for. So let's take just a moment to kind of rest in that gratitude for what we have as individuals, in our families, in our spiritual family, in the neighborhoods that we live in the city that we live in. We are grateful people just to be here and be a part of all of this goodness, this love, peace, and joy that we celebrate every day. So we are truly grateful. And we celebrate that gratitude by giving back of our time, of our talents, and our treasures. And we can do that here. We can do that all kinds of other places. I was at Nashville State Community College yesterday with supporting Metro Nashville Public Schools with an event that gave away all kinds of resources to families who need a lot of resources. And that was just a warming of my heart. So all kinds of ways to give back to where you are and do it in a way that you feel comfortable doing that. So give of your time, give of your talent, and give of your treasures. And this is one place that we are happy to do that, right? So many different ways. Let's go to the next slide and take a quick look. This is something new that we're going to do every day. This is going to give you an update on where we are as a spiritual community as far as numbers. Guess what? Numbers are important. We look at the numbers. We have to live by those numbers. So take a quick look at those, and we're going to do that every week just for your information and keep you updated on everything. And then the ways to give back from a financial perspective. If you look there, there's the blue vase that's sitting by the door there. You can do PayPal. You can give back with Kroger Rewards card. And please volunteer. We've got all kinds of stuff going on, and we need you to show up. So we are happy to do that. And let's all affirm all of this gratitude and abundance that we have in our lives by saying the prayer for protection, or the offertory affirmation. Here we go. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies. And let's sing Infinite Abundance. I live in the midst of infinite abundance. I give freely and fearlessly to life. I live in the midst of infinite abundance, and life gives back to me. I live in the midst of infinite abundance. Thank you so much. Let's all stand up and say the prayer for protection as we prepare to leave. I want to say thank you so much for being here. Let's say this together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll be here, and we'll see you next Sunday at 11 o'clock. Have a great week. Have cake, everybody, and eat it too.